Hello, and welcome to the Amazon Web Services Partner Webinar Series. Our topic today will demonstrate how to rapidly deploy your new process-based applications on the AWS cloud. I'm your host, Maya Kabasi, with the Partner Marketing team here in Seattle. I'd like to start with a couple of housekeeping items. We are recording today's webinar, and while lines are muted, we encourage you to submit questions anytime during the presentation. Simply use the Q&A widget in your browser. We'll take time for questions at the close of the webinar. In addition, the presentation will be available for on-demand. You may find our webinar recordings and materials available on our AWS, SlideShare, and YouTube channels. I'm pleased to be joined today by two presenters from Appian, Samir Gulati, VP of Marketing, and Malcolm Ross, VP of Product Management, along with Michael Fuller, who is a Senior Manager at ISV Program here at AWS. We will begin today with Michael Fuller, providing us with an overview and key benefits of leveraging AWS, along with how customers are using us today, followed by Samir Gulati, who will provide company and solutions overview with use cases and customer successes. Then Malcolm will take over, and he will use screenshots to provide product overview and show how one can rapidly deploy applications using Appian's integrated software platform. We'll wrap up with a Q&A. So, without further delay, let me turn it over to Michael Fuller, Senior Manager at ISV Programs with AWS. Take it away, Michael.
Perfect. Thanks, Maya. So I'm going to thank you for everybody for joining. I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes or so quickly going through just a very high level of Amazon Web Services, give you an idea of who we are, what customers are using us, how they're using us, et cetera, as well as how we're partnering with ISVs, consulting partners, resellers, et cetera, in the market, and folks like Appian to bring business solutions to customers worldwide. So first slide here, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Amazon Web Services. So if you haven't heard of us, we're part of Amazon.com. And how do we get into this business? Well, really, we got into this business because Amazon.com is really a technology business. And we realized early on that, us winning in the market and doing well in the market was going to rely on us being, moving very fast, being focused on customers, and really innovating on the technology side of the business. So we got into the business of Amazon Web Services very consciously. We realized early on that as a fast-moving e-commerce web business, that being able to go from idea to actual implementation and production in the market was key to our success. And we realized that many other companies in the market, especially these days with enterprise IT, are going to have similar needs. And so Amazon Web Services was born out of that idea. And we found actually that it's been quite successful in the fact that many IT companies today, or people using enterprise IT, are looking for that rapid deployment, speed to market, cost efficiency, et cetera. So just a little bit about our scale. We often get asked, how are we growing? We're part of Amazon.com. We don't share the Amazon Web Services specific numbers, but customers often ask, partners ask, how fast we're growing, how big are we, et cetera. It's an important question. But we do share some statistics publicly that gives an idea. This is one of my favorites. We talk a little bit about Amazon.com, our retail side of the business, back in 2003. They were a $5 billion company at the time with around almost 8,000 employees worldwide, so a pretty big IT operation. And at Amazon Web Services today, we're adding enough server capacity every single day to meet the demands of Amazon.com when it was a $5.2 billion company in 2003. So extremely impressive growth, extremely impressive as far as how much we're adding on a daily basis from an infrastructure perspective. The other thing I wanted to share was a little bit about our global scale. This is other benefit that customers really key in on. with AWS. So again, we're being very aggressive here in our growth strategy and meeting the demand that we have with customers worldwide. So 3 years ago, when I started the company, we had 4 regions in 2010, 2 in the U.S., 1 in APAC in Singapore, and 1 in Europe in Ireland. And now today we've aggressively more than doubled that, so we've got 9 regions globally. We're in, again, U.S. on the East Coast, on the West Coast of the U.S. We're in Europe, Japan, South America and Sao Paulo, Singapore, Sydney, and Australia, and we have a GovCloud region that's focused on our public sector and federal government customers. We also have more than 40 points of presence worldwide now. We run our own CDN, which is another service that we provide, one of the AWS services. So that is also aggressively growing, and we'll continue to expand on that. Customers. So we often get this question as well. Because we're a self-service platform and IT is pretty universal across almost every company these days, we've been able to, we have over 100,000 customers, hundreds of thousands of customers in over 190 countries today. And it goes everything from, some of the most successful fast-paced startups like Pinterest and Spotify and Netflix to some of the more traditional enterprises like Shell and Unilever and Samsung, et cetera. We also have quite a number of government agencies, so over 300 government agencies and more than 1,500 academic institutions that are also using AWS today. And what this has really done is allowed us to really see every imaginable use case. So we have everything from customers to partners doing some very innovative and creative things on AWS as a platform. So it's really a great way for us to kind of focus very heavily on the infrastructure and providing a great platform and letting customers and partners run with it. So it's been very successful in that regard. A little about what customers, why they're telling us that they're using AWS. One is one of the early value propositions that we heard around trading capital expense for variable expense. So if you're able to launch a project, go production with something without having to make multi-million-dollar capital investments to build out data centers and infrastructure, it's a very valuable proposition for businesses today. Secondly, if you can do that at a lower variable cost than you'd otherwise be able to do on your own. So again, you saw the little statistics about scale. At that scale, we're able to achieve economies of scale for customers, both in the acquisition of infrastructure, but also the operation of infrastructure that allows us to pass that savings on to customers. So that's a huge value proposition. Thirdly, capacity planning. So again, in the past, especially in today's day of how fast customer demand can ramp up with web-based applications and workloads that have mobile and social aspects to them, it's really hard to capacity plan these days, and you end up either over-investing in infrastructure or you're faced with a situation where the solution or what you've gone with production is wildly successful, and now you're not serving customers because you're scrambling to get more infrastructure up to production. Fourthly, and I would say this has bubbled up to probably the number one reason we're hearing customers using AWS today is really the speed to market and flexibility. Again, if you can go from idea to implementation, production, and offering a new service to your customers faster than your competition, it's game changer these days. And then lastly is global in minutes. This is another big one. You saw the global footprint that will continue to expand. This is great for large enterprises as well as small startups. If you're able to start with a project in one of the larger markets that you see an opportunity, let's say the U.S., and it's successful, all of our regions are, from a technology perspective, are the same. So you can, by signing up with us in one region, you get access to all the regions, the commercial regions around the world. So you can literally, start in one region, and then if once successful, you can choose to go global without much of an effort. So the technology is the same. There's no additional agreements required, et cetera, and you can literally launch in other regions. The next piece, lastly here, I just want to touch a little bit about how we think about partner strategy, given the fact that this is a webinar with one of our top partners, Appian. So from a partner perspective, we focus extremely heavily on the infrastructure piece, right? The infrastructure platform, growing that scale, operational efficiency at the infrastructure level, the facilities, physical security, the virtualization infrastructure, and the hypervisor. That's really our IP. That's where we're focused, and that's where we're spending our time and bringing value to market. We then rely on our vast number of partners to do what they've always done very well, which is provide a very good solution from the infrastructure above in providing that business value to the end customer. And this is something that's very conscious on our part. We're not going to become the experts in security, networking, in the guest operating system and above, or business process management in the case of Appian, et cetera. This is really where our partners shine, and it's actually a really good demarcation point between the infrastructure, virtualization, and where the partners are able to build on top of that. And Appian's done a fantastic job of that, and that's what we'll talk to you a little about today after my portion. So with that, I will hand it over to Samir, and we'll talk to you a little bit more detail about what Appian's done on AWS to provide business value and business process management to customers. Samir?
Great. Thank you, Michael. Just want to tee up the Appian presentation. I'm going to give an overview of the company, the solution, and some of our use cases. And Malcolm will do a quick screenshot demonstration to give you a flavor for a modern BPM platform in case you haven't seen a previous demonstration of that. So quick overview of Appian. We've been in business about 12 years. We're a market leader. By all accounts, all the leading analysts position us as a market leader in business process management software. We have 3.5 million users, probably the largest user count of any of the BPM players. We get a lot of accolades both for our technology and our user experience. And we have large enterprise clients as well as mid-market clients. The U.S. Army, Amazon.com, the retail part of the Amazon business is actually a customer of ours. And we have a number of customers in different industries. So we'll talk to you about some of the use cases, but we really service multiple industries, multiple geographies worldwide. So just a quick background on BPM, business process management, in case some of you are not familiar with the term. So the modern worker today has a number of challenges. Low repeatability in their processes, lack of information, slow response times, really lack of visibility to the end-to-end process, what's going on, and then access to data in the context of their work or their process. And all these issues kind of lead to poor response times and bad decisions and lack of visibility. And that's what a BPM platform really tries to address from an application standpoint. So when you think about BPM, what it really provides is a platform for process automation, process improvement. Really allows you to orchestrate your end-to-end process, model it, and then work on it, work on improving and automating it. Business rules allow you to kind of enforce policies and procedures across the enterprise. Modern platforms like Appian also have an integrated content management system, allow you to interact with the content. And then finally, really integrate with a variety of external systems so that you can pull data from them and really orchestrate the end-to-end process. When you start to move into a modern BPM platform, some of the things that Appian has worked hard to integrate into the platform is really native mobile access. We'll show you some screenshots of our mobile interface. We have applications for all the major mobile platforms, a simple social interface to facilitate collaboration and easy interaction across the enterprise. Enterprise data navigation, again, we are plugged into a variety of data sources, so we want to make it easy for end users to navigate their data in the context of their business process and the day-to-day work. And then finally, most importantly, Appian's platform is available as an identical platform on-premise or in the cloud. We call our cloud version simply Appian Cloud, but it's the same platform, the same capabilities. And this is where our partnership with AWS has really flourished because they provide the infrastructure layer. We provide a really nice applications layer on top of it, and have increasingly a number of cloud customers coming, using our platform. So a little bit more about our platform. You see the core elements in terms of data integration and analytics, process orchestration, business rules engine, events monitoring, all in the context of your work and your process. And then the social collaboration layer I mentioned a few minutes ago, really providing a rich environment for easy collaboration, information exchange, and taking action on a variety of tasks and actions. Finally, from an interface perspective, we have parity between the desktop and the mobile device, and so the same interface is available, on your desktop, and if you're on the move, you can see the very similar user interface on your mobile device or your tablet. From a hosting perspective, I've just mentioned it, but the entire platform is available either on-premise or in the cloud. Some customers, even use it in a hybrid environment where they have part of their application in the cloud, maybe some of their data behind the firewall, or maybe a couple of applications in the cloud, and they've chosen to keep one on-premise. But increasingly, the trend has been for us, over 50% of our new clients now are preferring to build and deploy their applications in the cloud, and I think it's a trend here that's here to stay, and that's why we're trying to educate the market about the advantages of being able to deploy BPM applications in the cloud. So what does Appian's customer base look like? As I mentioned at the start of the webinar, we service a variety of industries globally. We've put in some representative logos here on the slide. Pharmaceutical companies like Johnson & Johnson and Bard and PPD use us for applications like pharmacovigilance and clinical trial management. We have a number of customers in financial services and insurance using us for claims management, for CRM kinds of applications, for underwriting systems. We're in 40 different federal agencies using us for case management types of applications, as well as compliance and regulatory applications. The Office of Comptroller of Currency, part of the Department of Treasury, uses the Appian system to regulate a lot of the national banks that they work with and ensure compliance to banking regulation. And then retail and transportation have been two industries that have come online very rapidly recently. They're trying to take advantage of social and mobile capabilities to improve customer experience, to engage with their own clients, and really to provide a better experience. And Enterprise Rent-A-Car is a great example of that, where their new rideshare service that they use to get people to use their vehicles to carpool between the office and corporate environments have been built on the Appian platform and deployed in the cloud. So, a number of core business applications being deployed in the cloud, and using a BPM foundation so that they can rapidly change and improve their applications over time. So with that said, what we wanted to do today is talk a little bit more about 4 use cases. These are cross-industry use cases, so they really span all the industries. We haven't tried to pick out industry-specific applications. The first one has to do with mobile store inspections, and how companies can be more efficient using mobile devices in the field to inspect their assets. The second example has to do with issue resolution. Again, field service management is a huge area for improvement, but it could be any kind of issue resolution, identifying issues, getting them into the system, and then rapidly working on them for resolution. As I mentioned, CRM is a huge area for building BPM applications, both improving customer experience and improving internal processes for onboarding new clients. And then finally, IT service management represents a very rich area for BPM automation improvement, as well as modernizing existing IT applications, mobile enabling them, putting them in the cloud, et cetera. So we'll try to walk through one example in each one of these areas to give you a feeling of how we can build some core business applications in the cloud. So the first example has to do with mobile store inspections, and it's an example of a global coffee retail chain which has about 7,000 stores in North America, but only 250 store inspectors who are responsible for maintaining the quality of these stores and making sure that these stores are being inspected regularly and improved. And in the past, it was a very manual, cumbersome process where a store inspector filled out forms, with a clipboard at the store, took photographs with their own digital camera, went back into headquarters and re-entered all this information so that they could now integrate with the core system, and then get back finally to the store manager several days later and tell them about some of the improvements that store had to make to maintain the level of quality. And in the modern BPM environment, which is again deployed in the cloud, it's a wonderful new process which is modeled in a drag and drop model-driven development environment. The inspector gets their task on their iPad. By the way, all the inspectors now have iPads, company-provided iPads. They get their tasks on their iPad. They pull up GPS information, store information using GPS location, get to the store, are able to use, fill out electronic forms on their iPad, take over 200 pictures again using the digital capabilities of the iPad, record voice notes, upload rich media. But most importantly, once they hit submit, they can immediately get a quality score to show up with a list of recommendations for the store manager. And this is, again, very invaluable to the entire experience because the store inspector can sit down with the store manager and have that real-time discussion about improving the store, as well as having a collaboration environment for talking to the other inspectors and store managers via a social interface about things that they may have seen in other stores and how they can improve maybe supplier performance or some systemic problem that occurs. And at the end of the day, the big win here for the retailer is the fact that they can respond to the issues very quickly in real time, have that qualitative and quantitative discussion, and get the performance and the quality up to snuff. So a huge win all around, and an example of a cloud application used to improve a simple process like mobile store inspections. The next example has to do with a wind energy firm that's actually headquartered in France, but has about 30 wind farms across North America, and had this challenge about every time there was an issue with one of their wind farms, they had to prioritize which defect they had to work on and make sure they had the right expertise to work on these particular defects. And what they really did is obviously, automated and built this application on a BPM foundation. In the field, they can easily capture the issues, again, via laptop, via mobile device, get those issues very rapidly captured into the system. The system actually helps them prioritize which cases they want to work on. Interestingly enough, what they're trying to do is they're trying to maximize the or minimize the downtime and maximize the energy being provided out of these wind turbines. And they have to take into account several variables like the amount of time the turbine is going to be down, the severity of the issue, the energy price and the location that the wind turbine is active in, and the demand for energy. And the system actually automatically calculates something called a risk priority number that allows EDP Renewables to prioritize which work they want to work on first, and then get it to the relevant engineers. And then there's a virtual collaboration. They mine the system for knowledge, as a knowledge base to make sure that they can leverage past resolutions, and then really work in a virtual environment with the field engineer to resolve the particular issue. You can see that in the 9 months they've been live with the system, there've been about over $100 million of issues that have been captured in the system and resolved via this cloud application, and bringing enormous benefits again to the end users as well as EDP renewables. The next example is a CRM kind of example, and has to do with, again, a global retail chain who is trying to onboard new distributors and manage their whole onboarding process and account management process. And again, this retailer has global distributors in 110 countries, and different roles involved in the onboarding process for global distributors, as well as managing the account. And really what they're doing is external dealers can electronically submit their data in lieu of stacks of paperwork, really enter that into the system. And this is not only new account requests, but account changes and account activations. The process captures the business data, presents the dealers with pertinent terms and conditions based on business rules, routes it for internal approval, again, all mobile enabled, so that the sales managers and sales staff and operations people can review and approve the onboarding request and really make sure the internal systems are set up, and finally generate the contract documents for distribution to the client. And once the client is set up in the system, they also have to update their SAP system to make sure there is a seamless integration with their financial systems in order to be able to invoice the distributor. So all this is done in a very collaborative application that is built on a BPM platform in the cloud, and their ultimate win has to do with both quantitatively they're reducing the approval time for new accounts from 20 days to 4 days, and they're handling a huge number of requests on their mobile devices, as a lot of these salespeople are on the move, and they're able to handle all these requests from distributors globally. You can see over 11,000 mobile requests in 1 month that they're able to process without having to get back to their desktop. So great example of a win-win in terms of customer experience, the distributors having a great experience, but also the internal firm managing this process very seamlessly. Last example, very quickly, the State of Ohio Office of Budget and Management, the CIO is a big proponent of using applications, BPM applications in the cloud, and he has built a number of different applications, starting with an IT service request application, which he's now expanding into a generic service request application, business continuity applications. You would think about why it is that it's important to put business continuity applications in the cloud. If there's a disaster, you typically don't have access to your core systems, and it's an ideal kind of IT application to actually put in the cloud and mobile enable. And when this Ohio CIO came on board, he was surprised to see that their core business continuity application was actually an on-premise system with no mobile connectivity or access. And that was one of the first applications that he rebuilt in the cloud on our platform and mobile enabled, because that's kind of core to a disaster situation. So overall, you can see some of the ROI and benefits that firms like the state of Ohio have gotten: 70% faster development time, really seamless mobile access, and a nice environment to collaborate effectively in the context of their business processes. So I think this concludes 4 of the examples that I had set up for you, and going to turn things over to Malcolm Ross, who will now actually, let me conclude with one more slide. I apologize. This is really a summary slide that, again, highlights the value proposition of building cloud-based applications. We think a BPM platform is very easy, provides a very easy platform to develop, deploy, use, and scale your application, and really highlights the benefits that a lot of these customers have been getting. With that, Malcolm, you want to take it away?
Great. Thanks, Samir, and welcome everyone. Seeing those demonstrations really demonstrates the power of BPM tools, and that it can really leverage in almost any aspect of a business, as we've seen from the use cases from retail industry to energy management to government organizations. All these organizations often measure the effectiveness of the entire business on the effectiveness of their processes, the way in which they service their customers, maintain their equipment, or satisfy their citizen requests through critical business processes. So when you think about a business process management solution, the very first place where you begin modeling those environments is the Appian Process Modeler and the Appian Solution Suite. This is accessible in a 100% web-based environment. As we mentioned, hosted by the Amazon Web Services architecture, you simply come in via a web browser and begin modeling out that system architecture or that process architecture that basically is your ideal process, the way in which you want to model that environment. Now, the great thing about this is the Appian Business Process Modeler is a really simple, easy to use, BPM-in standard process modeling environment, which enables you to have like JAD sessions. You can get together as IT personnel and business owners in a single room and really understand exactly what that process is going to be. The fantastic part about that is that it's instant model to execution. There is no coding process in here. As you model that process and configure each of the activities, you don't need to go back and then compile that code and then execute that. It becomes instantly executable. The tasks inside the environment become addressable to mobile devices, on web interfaces, and can instantly automate that process. So if we take a look at some examples of that, here's an example of a financial dispute resolution process. On the left-hand side, we have what we call our palette. The palette is all the different design objects that are registered for your industry. So you might have some of the standard 100-plus what we call smart services that allow you to orchestrate certain types of activities. These might be just a standard user activity. They might be an integration point to a backend system, or even things like document management. You want to dynamically generate a PDF document to generate a contract or a customer order. Or maybe you want to move some content around and then post something to Twitter or post something to LinkedIn. All those integrations are facilitated through those Appian Smart Services and this long list of different types of IT services that are available for orchestration on the right-hand side of what we call the canvas. As you can see, the canvas very elegantly lays out all the process flow. It uses a standard called BPM-in, or Business Process Modeling Notation, which uses concepts like swim lanes. Swim lanes denote the ownership of certain activities. Start points and end points are represented by events, which are these circles. Activities are then these squares, and simply decision points where I need to decide and enforce a business rule are these diamond decision points, such as, if purchase order greater than $20,000, route to manager for approval, or route to executive, or automatically reject. All those types of rules are possible and easily can be easily modeled in the process design environment. Now, as you design that, you also have a web-based forms design architecture. The web-based forms environment, again, just like the Appian Process Modeler, renders the entire design time environment is through the web browser. There's no ActiveX, no Java to download. It's simply an interactive web dashboard. You drag and drop and build that form experience, identifying all the key values you want to use on each activity inside the process flow. As I save that form can also be instantly mobile enabled by simply checking a box. It'll validate that form not for just rendering on web environments, but also Apple iPhones, Apple iPads, Androids, and even BlackBerry devices all can access those forms that you design and then participate in that process orchestration. And finally, when you run that process, not only can you track the process in real time, as you can see in this diagram, I can see highlighted in blue all the activities have been completed. Highlighted in green, I can see where the current state of an individual process is. And then overlaid on top of that, I can see all the analytics for each step of the process. I can see how long it's been sitting inside someone's work queue, when did they click on that item and start working on it, and how long did they actually take to complete that item. All those are measured in what we call BAM metrics, or Business Activity Monitoring Metrics. Every single activity inside the Appian environment has automatic BAM statistics enabled on it, so you can get very detailed throughput analysis on all your processes, identify the bottlenecks, and continuously improve those processes over time, supporting a continuous process improvement lifecycle. Now, inside this environment, we also include an enterprise content management system. This is natively inside the Appian product because any business process often really relies on the content. This could be Word documents, PowerPoints, PDFs, large contract files. I could grab files from an FTP environment and load them inside the system automatically for batch processing. Any number of files can be addressed and orchestrated inside the Appian system and also stored inside the Appian system with full version control, full text search in a secure repository with folder level security on each of the document areas. We also support interesting features such as compounded dynamic document generation. So these are things that allow us to dynamically generate Microsoft Excel files, Word files, PDF files, HTML web pages, all through process orchestrations. This supports things like customer communication management. If you want to have a call center operations automated inside of here, and at the end of each call, I want to automatically send a customer a PDF summarizing that call. Inside the process orchestration, I can have a template PDF, dynamically generate that PDF document right inside process with all the customer information, and send that through email or any other medium to that customer for reception. I can also store that inside the content management system for archiving purposes, and if there's any other versions, have full version control on top of that. All these content management facilities are all out-of-the-box facilities right inside the Appian product for use, and of course hosted inside the Amazon cloud environment. And the great thing is you have mobile access to all that content as well. So as people collaborate on this content, post it to a social activity stream or in processes here, you can download this PDFs, download this Word documents, and view them right on whatever mobile device you happen to be using. And finally, we also do provide integration facilities to backend systems. Now, we also provide process, task, and forms. And as you design those forms, as we saw in the process and forms design experience, those forms become immediately available to the end users. They can dynamically assign process tasks to end users based on role and business rules. So you can say have a maybe round robin assignment or first in first out assignment, or whoever has the lowest amount of work items in their work queue, have automatic workload balancing to distribute work evenly across a team. You can use these business rules to dynamically assign the work to a large set of users. It can allow users to generate ad hoc what we call social tasks as well. You actually don't need to design processes to start doing tasking in Appian as well. Any user can assign what we call a social task to another user, automatically have that task appear in their inbox, and have a collaboration around that task and track its completion just like a regular process modeling task. You can track task completion through our BAM metrics and, of course, validate forms upon submission. So if you're expecting key values, I need to make sure they enter in all these fields before submitting. I need to make sure that these fields are all entered correctly. All those validation behaviors are often baked into the form logic, so you can submit those and present the user with the validation information and ensure they fill out the form correctly. And finally, you can also attach rich media information. So as you're using mobile devices, you can enrich the processes with images, video, even voice notes, and even drawings. You can doodle on, say, Android devices and capture those as documentation to contribute to that process. Now, Appian allows users to not only track events via their task lists, but also track events through a collaborative social activity stream. So the collaborative social activity stream allows you to track key enterprise events automated by the Appian process environment. So I can say, you know, although maybe I'm a manager, I'm not participating in every single acquisition. I want to be notified when certain acquisitions occur or when certain business thresholds occur. I can set up notifications inside the process engine and have it automatically push collaborative social activity events to my activity stream, notifying me and telling me what's going on inside the enterprise environment. Each of these events can be security controlled, so you can say only certain users can see certain events, and they can be generated either by systems in automated fashions. So in the screenshot here on the right, you see there's an SAP event. I've been setting up an SAP integration, tracking the information, and notifying me when a certain invoice threshold is exceeded. But I can also have just free-form collaboration events. At any time, I can just post a message, either in a secure fashion, a private conversation between one user and another, or have a totally public open posting, where people are invited to socially collaborate and participate in an open collaboration medium. Now, of course, we very much center this on a mobile-first strategy. It is a write once, deploy everywhere. Our goal in delivering an enterprise process management solution is you as a customer don't need to be concerned on testing and all the real complexity of these different mobile devices out there. We will deliver to you what we call the Appian native mobile application. It's a fast, responsive application they can either download from the public app stores like the Apple App Store or Google Play Store or BlackBerry World, or we can privately label that and allow you to distribute that using such as a mastered mobile device management software like AirWatch or Good Technology to distribute as private packages inside your enterprise security model. Now, all these mobile devices have access to all the key features of Appian, such as the social activity stream, task management, records navigation for data navigation, and even our enterprise reporting interfaces, which we'll see in a minute, are all available from these mobile devices. Records is a key element also of finding information and taking action on information, because not all processes start with an event. Sometimes processes start with an inquiry. I need to look into what's going on inside a customer record. I need to see what's going on in the context of the data of my enterprise. Appian has a great enterprise data management feature that we call Records, which allows you to consolidate data from multiple data sources into a single logical definition. In this case, one of our customers is a major aircraft manufacturer, and here I'm tracking all the aircraft in their inventory, seeing exactly where the aircraft is in my inventory database, seeing a warranty information, and also seeing customer information of who actually owns the aircraft. So if I'm a field service engineer working on the aircraft, I can go to my mobile device or go to my web top screen, pull up the aircraft by its tail number, and see all the information about the aircraft in one view. Now, some of the information, as you can see here, is sourced from an inventory database, while some of the other information might be sourced from a CRM database. It can consolidate all that using master data management concepts, bring it into a single interface, and present that to the user for rapid navigation and rapid searching. Now, while they're looking at that aircraft, they can also then take actions on top of it. So although you might have what we would call an Appian, a static database, just that stores information like inventory around my aircraft, we can then start to overlay processes directly on that data source. So I can say, well, for this aircraft, I want to initiate a new warranty renewal, or maybe create a high priority service request. As I initiate these tasks, I can initiate them right from my mobile device, and it will inherit all the context of the data I'm looking at. So it makes it very easy to take maybe even a legacy database environment, maybe an old even Fortran environment or COBOL environment, and overlay a modern mobile and process framework on top of it, rapidly modernizing legacy applications across the enterprise. And finally, reports for a mobile enterprise are also, reporting is also ubiquitously available inside the Appian product. There's two parts to reporting inside the Appian platform. There's first a very robust analytics engine capturing business activity monitoring metrics across all the processes you automate inside the system. This tracks some of the statistics I mentioned before around lag duration, work duration, total completion times, and aggregation values like average times for processes across all aspects of the business. We also allow you to start to overlay reporting interfaces on top of either the analytics data source, such as your process statistics, or any of your enterprise record sources, such as that Gulfstream example or that aircraft example that we just saw. Here I'm now slicing and dicing that existing database, which is outside the process, showing me all the different types of aircraft I'm certainly supporting, who are all my customers, and maybe a real-time dashboard showing me all the locations of all those aircraft in one view. Again, any view that we generate inside the Appian product, whether a report view or a task view or a record dashboard, is all ubiquitously available from either a full web environment or a mobile environment on iPhones, iPads, and Androids. So what we call this, and bring this content together, is what we call Work Social. Work Social is a concept of having a single socially and collaboration-enabled environment combined with your process automation and data discovery framework, all delivered seamlessly on web and mobile experiences. If you'd like to learn more about the Appian product, we invite you to go to the appian.com/cloudbpm site. There's interesting white papers as well as lots of other demonstration content to see Appian in action and also see other case studies in action. And of course, feel free to contact us at info@appian.com. Any other thoughts, Samir, as we wrap up?
No, I think this is great. We're happy to take questions and take a look at what may have come in. But I'll hand it back over to Maya, and maybe you can moderate.
Guys, thank you, Michael, Samir, and Malcolm for the presentation. And yeah, let's open it up for a Q&A. We already included some commonly asked questions to get the thoughts flowing. Why don't we start with answering those questions?
Sure.
So I'm just going to go down the list. Here's a question. Do we need HTML5 developers to create mobile apps in Appian? Would you like to answer that, Appian team?
Yeah, that's a very common question is, what is the best way to go mobile for the enterprise? HTML5 is often the most low-cost way to go mobile, but we actually just provide a drag-and-drop forms design environment that renders in a native mobile application. The reason that Appian chose to go with a native environment is that it provides a highly responsive, fast interface that's not subject to browser crashing, due to memory leaks, as well as browser security issues. It's a secure native application. And of course, as I mentioned before, you can experience that application for yourself if you go to the Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and see the application available to connect to your Appian environment.
Right. Thank you for the answer, and let's move on to the next question. We want to use cloud for the developer environment and move to an on-premise installation for production. Is that supported?
Yeah, good question. That's actually a pretty common scenario for us. A lot of customers want to maybe just trial the Appian product in the cloud, maybe use it for several months, and then actually move the environment to their on-premise installation when they're ready maybe for production. They might have purposes for their own specific needs to have it behind their own firewall, or you can have both environments running simultaneously. We often have also customers that run dev and test environments in the cloud and then production on-premise, or even vice versa. They run dev and test in an on-premise environment and run production in the cloud. We can do this because Appian runs the exact same product as we do for our on-premise customers as with our cloud customers. There's complete portability in all the solutions you build between the two platform environments, so it's easy to migrate from one place to another.
Right. Let's move on to the next question. And this one is, what can organizations do to make an efficient transition to using cloud? And this is a very common question that we hear these days. Would you like to address that too, Malcolm?
Yeah, sure. This is Samir. I'll jump in. I think, what we're finding is, a lot of the new applications customers are just saying, I'd like to build this in a cloud environment. It's very easy to provision that for us. We have an automated set of scripts whenever we get a customer request. We actually use our own software to set up a cloud environment for our customer, and they can start to model directly in that environment and then execute. In our model-driven development environment, all you have to do is publish the model, and then you have an executable application. So I think what we encourage all our customers is to simply try to build new applications in the cloud. We can set up a development environment, a production environment for the customers. And once customers actually start using the cloud environment, we find very few actually coming back or requesting to go back to an on-premise deployment because upgrades are much faster. We actually take care of the upgrades. The total cost of ownership goes down. The risk is significantly reduced, and they have a very high availability environment. So it's actually very, very easy to get started, and I think we really encourage customers to try building their new applications straight away in the cloud environment.
Thank you very much, Samir. And I will move on to the next question. What are some of the security measures that Appian BPM in the cloud has? Sure.
Yeah, security is really one of our top priorities because what we operate for a number of companies is critical enterprise systems, even with highly secure financial information or patient information in some cases. So we do provide things like SOC 2 compliance audits that allow you to fulfill your Sarbanes-Oxley reporting needs if you're a publicly traded company. That guarantees the security, infrastructure management, and software management of the entire product. We also thoroughly test the entire product before any release through third-party security audits, testing things like SQL injection and JavaScripting, cross-site scripting attacks. We want to make sure that the product is pre-hardened at every point before releasing to our customers. All communication between the client and the Amazon environment is always through HTTPS SSL encryption. And we do also support custom security protocols, such as you can have a private dedicated VPN, so you can actually have your Amazon-hosted Appian environment not accessible over the internet and only accessible via your private network through a private VPN tunnel between your enterprise and the Amazon cloud. And we also provide things like SAML2 authentication, so we can tie into your corporate Active Directory or a single sign-on environment, allowing users to use their own password management facilities that they're used to in their enterprise to log into the cloud-based environment. There's a number of other security features that we go through, such as allowing you to do configurable password management for PCI compliance and a number of details, but we run the product to satisfy the needs of the most demanding enterprises and their security needs.
All right. Thank you, Malcolm. Would you like to say a few things on rapid deployment?
Sure. At the end of the day, I think this BPM platform provides an excellent environment for rapid development and deployment of your application. And I think more importantly, it's not only rapid deployment, but easy maintenance and reduce cost over time. We really find that when customers have deployed these applications in the cloud, they come back and say their total cost of ownership has gone down significantly because of the they don't have to worry about upgrades and the infrastructure environment, et cetera. And so I think the big win is in the long term, where the cost goes down and they really mitigate the risk and also get to take advantage of all the new features that we're building into the platform very rapidly, because they're the first ones that we upgrade. So not only is it a great environment for rapid deployment, but I think provides a number of benefits long term for your applications, your enterprise applications.
Thank you, Samir. We have another question for the Appian team. Does Appian provide granular action-based authorization policies?
Yeah, so the Appian product provides very granular control over authorization access to not only components of the product, but also how you want to define those process models. Again, not only can it be defined by just a set role, kind of a role map model, but as well you can also use business rules to dynamically control who's authorized to do which task and the flow of which you want that process to go. So it's designed to be a highly configurable process orchestration environment that can satisfy, as we demonstrate from the case studies, anywhere from retail chain inspections to energy management to state government support to critical claims operations for large insurance companies. So it has a lot of those granular controls to set those up inside the environment.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. Any more questions from our attendees? And you can use the widget to ask your questions, or you can also contact Appian or AWS with your questions at the contact URL provided. And if would you like to add anything else, Appian team?
No, I'd just like to thank you, Maya, for the time, and look forward to engaging with anyone on the conference line, as well as always happy to be working with our partner, Amazon Web Services.
All right. Thank you very much to our presenters, Samir Gulati and Malcolm Ross with Appian, and to Michael Fuller with AWS. And our attendees, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. Before you log off, please take a very brief survey to let us know how we did and how we can improve our webinar series. Simply click the link in your browser to activate it. And again, thank you very much for joining us. We hope the information was useful and interesting. Have a great day.